So guys, last week we have seen how to simulate the basic components like LEDs, buttons, right? So we have seen this, how to integrate with Arduino and Tinkercad simulation, right? So that like this session is extension for the last session, okay? So guys who have not seen, who haven't attended the last session, or else who haven't known about knew about this Arduino simulation using Tinkercad, okay? So we have told you some basic things, right? Digital input, digital output, analog input, analog output. So we have told you some basic things there, okay? So if anyone haven't attended the last session, or else if you want to know more about this Arduino, so you can watch videos which have been uploaded to the YouTube channel. So that is the Electronics Club YouTube channel. So guys, so we are keeping our updates in our social medias, okay? So you can follow in Instagram, okay? So we have Instagram account, and so we are trying to update things, like we are trying to upload more videos related to this electronics in our YouTube channel, okay? So just subscribe to our channel, guys, okay? So the previous video is uploaded there, okay? So let's continue with the session, guys. So guys, today's session is about interfacing sensors with Arduino. Chalo. So this will be interesting, guys. So today it would be more interesting. Okay. So so the last session where we have seen only the basic components, that is to switch on an LED, to off an LED, like if you want to control traffic lights. So where we have seen only simple things. But coming to the real-time situations, so just think about some real-time situation, guys, at your home, if you want to make your home automated, so based upon the light intensity, if you want to on the light in your room, or else based upon the room temperature, so if you want to control the speed of the fan, so how you could do all these things. So you need some interface, or you need some module there, okay? So to what are the things needed there, so to automate these things, what are the things we need to do all those things, right? So those things we will see today, guys, okay? So guys, so today we will see some sensors, okay? So as we are dealing with the simulation part, so we couldn't show all the sensors, guys, okay? But we promise that when you come back to our sessions, when you start attending the regular sessions, so we will show you all the sensors, so maximum sensors, okay, not all the sensors, okay? So we would explain you the other sensors also which are not available in the Tinkercad simulation, okay? So chalo, let's get into the part, okay? So guys, before going into this session, what is a sensor, right? So our first thing we need to know is what is a sensor, right? So in simple words, guys, so what is sense? What is sense? So we have sense organs. So what those sense organs are doing, okay? So our eyes, so I see something, so it sends some signals to our brain, it processes it, and based upon that we react, right? So in simple things, you could take a simple thing, if you touch some object, right? Let's just take this touch sensor, okay? So what you are doing there, so you are just touching it, okay? So based upon your pulse, based upon the input power supply, so what you have given to the touch sensor, okay? So when you are touching that sensor, so some electrical pulse is flowing from positive to negative terminal, and it is being conducted, right? So I just told you a simple example, guys, okay? So what exactly is happening there, okay? So you are a physical quantity, nothing but you are some body acting with that module, right? So you are a body acting with that module. So whenever you touch that module, so whatever when you touch it, so it is being converted into electrical quantity, right? So some electrical pulse is flowing through your finger. Okay, it is flowing through your finger, and it is being conducted, right? So similarly, so in the real time, sensors are devices which convert the physical quantity into electrical quantity. Okay, chalo. So you can ask me, so what are these physical quantities and how they will be converted into electrical quantity? Yeah. So let us take the same example, guys. So I told you, right? So based upon the temperature, you could control the speed of the fan, right? So just take that temperature sensor. Okay, so what is happening there? Okay, so you have a thermistor there. Okay, so which is nothing but a resistor kind of thing. Okay, so based upon the temperature, the resistance value would change there. Okay, so here temperature is a physical quantity, right? So that physical quantity is acting on the thermistor, right? Which is nothing but the temperature sensor, right? So it is acting on it, and like whenever temperature changes, like the environment temperature changes, so the resistance value of the thermistor changes, automatically changes. Okay, so when you give the input power supply, so your output would vary based upon that, right? So this is exactly happens at the back end, guys. Okay, so similarly we have other sensors too. Okay, so you could see here, so the physical quantities like light, temperature, and humidity, right? So similarly for light also, I think I have given this example in the last session. Okay, so here you have a photoresistor, guys. Okay, so photoresistor is also a component like it too has some resistivity which depends upon the light, so which is nothing called as photoresistor. Okay, so based upon the light intensity, so the resistance of the photoresistor would vary, and using those values you could operate anything, like you could control the light intensity, you could on the fans, or you could send some signals also, right? So I'll tell you, so where we are going to use this sensors in real time and real situations. Okay, so you could make use of the sensors, and if you have an idea, you could change that idea into a product, right? So using the simple things, like using these simple things, you could make some product also, guys. Like you could you can participate in some hackathons, right? So you can participate in some hackathons, and you can share your ideas there, right? So this is like these are the advantages when you learn some basic things. So apart from academics, so if you learn these basic things, so it will be helpful for you also, right? So sir, apart from this, where we can do all these things, right? So in your if you want to do your major project, like if you are in 3-2 or 3-1 or 4-1 or 4-2, so you need to do a project, right? So in majority of the cases, like many of the students will try to look for alternatives, right? So they will be searching for some online resources, and they will be searching for some other things, right? So instead of that, so if you have an excellent idea which could change your life, so in the three in your project phase, you could simply you could work on that project. So you will get some idea about it, and in the way you will complete your project also, right? So this is the use of these things, guys. So if you get to know about these things, so these many things will happen at the back end, right? So just try to concentrate, guys. So I'm sorry for those, we couldn't give you the hardware components. Okay, so I know everyone could understand the situation, right? So so guys, here you could see some sensors. Okay, so light sensor is nothing but the photo resistor. Okay, that is LDR, light dependent resistor. Okay, the motion sensor, so motion sensor I will discuss today, guys. That is nothing but the PIR sensor. Okay, so we will see more about this in the session. Okay, so sound sensor, you can see the sound sensor. So based upon the sound, so here sound is a physical quantity, so based upon the intensity of sound, so you will get some values, right? So here you could see a temperature sensor. So based upon the temperature, your values would vary. Okay, so similarly magnetic field, gravity sensor, humidity sensor, vibration sensor, right? So we have same many other sensors, guys. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss about all these sensors, guys. Okay, I'll go through only a few basic sensors. Okay, so I'll tell you how all these work out. Okay, so guys, so here in sensors also you have some digital sensor and analog kind of sensors. Okay, so guys, like how many of you have seen like any one of these sensor, guys? So guys, here you could see some sensors, right? So this is this sensor is called as DHT11. Okay, so where you can detect temperature and humidity values. Okay, that is known as DHT11. Okay, you could detect temperature and humidity values from the sensor. Okay, so here it is a soil moisture sensor. Okay, so you could get some moisture values in the soil. Okay, so here it is nothing but a potentiometer. Okay, so here it is a IR sensor, guys. Okay, here you could see IR sensor. Okay, so this is used for like obstacle detection, like you could like a major like mainly you could use this IR sensor for line follower bots. Okay, so it would work in so some like if you have some light intensity, so if you have more light intensity, so you will get some errors, guys, with that sensor. Okay, so it would be recommended to use in a dark room only. Okay, so this is IR module. Okay, so this is a temperature sensor, I think. Okay, so this is a temperature module, so ultrasonic sensor. Right side to that ultrasonic sensor, so this is a BMP 180, that is it would calculate pressure. Okay, pressure and barometric values. Okay, so next coming to this is also a IR module, guys. Okay, so this is a integrated IR module. Okay, so here you have IR module, and here also you have one IR module where this would be detected fast. So here the processing speed would be less compared to this module. Okay, so this is accelerometers and accelerometer. Okay, so where you can use that for self-balancing bot. Okay, here once again, so this is a gas sensor, guys. This is a gas sensor. This is a sound sensor. Okay, this is used for detecting big sounds. Okay, so you have two types of modules here, sound sensors. Okay, so this is LDR module. Okay, so this is a kind of capacitive kind thing. Okay, so this is a capacitive kind of thing. Okay, so this is a simple buzzer, guys. Okay, that is a simple buzzer. Here you could see one sensor, right? So this is a rain sensor. Okay, so when water droplets fall on that sensor, you could detect that. Okay, so coming to the other sensors, it is a relay module. Okay, so why we are going to use this relay module? So guys, I'm not going to discuss about all these sensors. So I'm telling you beforehand only. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you about all the sensors. I'm going to discuss only some basic sensors, guys. Okay, but I'll give you some brief about all these sensors. Okay, relay module, like in real time, guys. So in real time, if you want to like if you want to make a home automation project. Okay, so what you will like what you people will be doing. So in the first phase, so you will be making use of some Arduino or some Wi-Fi modules kind of thing, so to connect it to network. Okay, so or else do not take all those things. Like if you want to make your bulb like in your home, so you want to make your bulb to on and off with a delay of 1 hour or 2 hours, like that. Okay, so if you want to make your bulb to on for 1 hour or 2 hours, so think that you have used this Arduino, right? So in the first phase, what you people will be doing, so you will be connecting some LEDs to it, and you will be operating that, right? So, but you need to control that light. How you will be connecting that? So here the operating voltage of this Arduino is about 9 to 12 volts. Sorry, 5 to 12 volts. Okay, but how you can connect the 220 volts to this Arduino board? So you cannot connect that, right? So for that purpose, you can make use of this relay. Okay, so this relay is used as an interface between this Arduino and the 220 volts power supply. Okay, So here you could connect those bulbs. Okay, here you could connect those electrical appliances here. Okay, so here you have some pins on it, the relay module. So integrating, like connecting these pins to the Arduino, you can control the 220 volts electrical appliances. Okay, so this is a Wi-Fi module, guys. So we will be discussing about this for this Wi-Fi module, you will have some dedicated session. Okay, so we will be using, like as we are in this industry 4.0, so everyone must know about this module, guys, so which is known as Wi-Fi module. Okay, so this Wi-Fi module is just used as an interface between your boards and the internet. Okay, so everything, like today everything is based on internet connectivity, right? So internet of things plays an important role in our day-to-day life. Okay, so wherever you go, so this internet of things plays a major role. Okay, and also data collection also plays a major role. Okay, so for all these things, this Wi-Fi module is a major thing, guys. Okay, so for any device or for any product to operate, so this Wi-Fi module is the main thing, right? So for that purpose, we will have some like dedicated session for that, and we will explain you about this Wi-Fi module also. Okay, so beside to that, you can see this PIR sensor. Okay, this is a passive infrared sensor. Okay, so this is used to detect the motion. Okay, so I will be telling you about this PIR sensor today. Okay, so this is NRF modules, guys. So one is transmitter and one is receiver. Okay, so why what is the necessary of this modules is like, so if you want to control some bots. Okay, so if like NRF is nothing but near uh, one second. So if you want to, or if you want to design a robot. Okay, so you need to, like if you want to operate it remotely. Okay, so for that purpose, you need to make use of this NRF module. Okay, so this will work on the radio frequency, guys. So RF means radio frequency, and N means the company name. Okay, so I'm not much sure about. Okay, someone have kept it in the chat. Okay, Nordiac radio frequency. Okay, so it will work on that radio frequency, and it will have some less range, guys. So compared to this Wi-Fi module, it will have some less range. Okay, so here is it is just a connector. Okay, so if you want to make a device, like if you want to power a device using some adapter or USB cables, you can make use of this module. Okay, so these are some of the sensors, guys. Okay, so these are some of the sensors. Okay, so let's get into the session and let us see about some sensors. Okay, so guys, first we are going to see about this ultrasonic sensor. Okay, so why we need to use this ultrasonic sensor, and why we must know about this ultrasonic sensor? Yeah, so this is a basic sensor which you must know about this sensor, guys. Okay, so guys, just let us take about the real time example. Okay, so if you are driving a car. Okay, so if you are not perfect, or if you are you are a learner, you are a learner in that. Okay, so you might you may cause accidents to that car, right? So these all things happen, right? So what if you place some sensors to that car, so if you are going to hit, if an obstacle is there behind your car or front of your car. Okay, so you want to get some alert before it is hitting that. Okay, so before hitting that, suppose think that there is a range between some 10 feet or 15 feet. Okay, sorry, 15 feet it couldn't detect. Okay, so think that it has some distance of 10 feet. Okay, so what you will be doing there? Okay, so what you will be doing there, so you will get some alert to that. So you will get some alert. Okay, so before it reaches to 10 feet, so you will get some alert there. Okay, so then you can take some necessary actions, you may stop the car immediately there itself, or you will try to turn it, right? So for that purpose, you can make use of this ultrasonic sensor, guys. Okay, so this ultrasonic sensor is it is used for obstacle detection, and also to read the distance. Okay, you can call it as also a distance measurement sensor, guys. Okay, So the range of this ultrasonic sensor is from 2 centimeters to 400 centimeters, or 1 inch to 13 feet. Okay. So guys, here you can see some picture, right? So this is how a ultrasonic sensor looks like. Okay. So this is a transmitter, and this is a receiver, guys. Okay. So I'll tell you. So how this exactly works like, I'll tell you. Okay. So here you will have 4 pins. So I have already told you, right? So for a component to work, or electronic device to work, so you need to give some electrical, like a power supply to it, and to close that you need to connect it to ground. Okay. So the extra 2 pins are trigger and echo pin. Okay. So what are these trigger and echo pin? So these are so one pin is used to trigger the pulse. That is nothing but so it would transmit some pulse, and the other pin echo would receive that pulse. Okay. So what is this receiving and transmitting kind of thing? Yeah, right? So you might get some thing like that, right? So guys, have you know, like do you know about this bats? So how do they see it in the nights? So how do they detect the obstacle during nights? So they use they will be using some ultrasonic waves, right? So they will be transmitting this ultrasonic waves continuously. Okay. So when they when these ultrasonic waves hit that object, so they would return back to this bat, right? So based upon that, this bat would change the direction, and it would fly out, right? So this is called as echo principle, guys. So this ultrasonic sensor would work on the echo principle. Okay. So we will see how to we will see how exactly it happens in the backend. Okay. So guys, here how to integrate it, interface with the Arduino, and how to get the values from this ultrasonic sensor. Okay. So for this ultrasonic sensor, first you need to trigger. So I told you, right? So first you need to trigger that sensor. Okay. So here you could see, so you need to trigger this so guys, so here you could see, so for first we would trigger for at least 10 microseconds. Okay. So this module sends some 40 kilohertz. So sir, why we are going to send the 40 kilohertz? So here you could see here, right? So we have a crystal oscillator, so which is used to generate that frequency, guys. Okay. So in electronics, you will be you will be you might know about these oscillators, right? So oscillators is used to generate some frequencies, right? So this crystal oscillator is a component which is used to emit some frequencies. Okay. So there you have a, 4 megahertz sorry 40 kilohertz crystal oscillator there, and it would generate that frequency. Okay. So whenever it gets some a signal back, so it would detect the time. So first it would detect the time, so for how much time it has got the particular pulse, and based upon that duration, we can calculate the distance. Okay. So this is the formula, guys. So this is the formula for detecting the distance, to know the distance of a distance from the ultrasonic sensor. Okay. So when we get into the programming, you'll come to know better about these things. Okay. So these are the specifications of a module, guys. Okay. These are the specifications of the module. Okay. So guys, for every component or every module, you have specifications. Okay. So when you are working with a particular component or particular module, first you need to know about those specifications. Okay. Whether it might be any component or whether it might be any board, right? So when you are dealing with that particular module or sensor, first you need to know about the specifications. Okay. So why we must know about the specifications? Yeah, these are the must things, guys. Okay. So these are the things you need to know, because if a module is working on 3 volts, but if you give some so the maximum operating voltage of that module is 3 volts, but what if you give 5 volts? That would simply burn, or it would damage the board also, right? So for that purpose, you need to make sure that you have read the specifications before working with that sensor. Okay. So the specifications of this ultrasonic sensor is 5 volts. Okay, so the operating voltage of this ultrasonic sensor is 5 volts. So if you are giving less than this 5 volts, so your sensor wouldn't work, and if you are giving more than this voltage, so your sensor might damage. Okay, so the working current, so the operating current is 15 milliamps. Okay, frequency generated from this ultrasonic sensor is 40 kilohertz. Okay, so it is equal to 40 kilohertz, guys. Okay, so because so you have a crystal oscillator there, right? So on the ultrasonic sensor we have a crystal oscillator, right? So this crystal oscillator would generate the frequency. Okay, so the maximum range, so at what distance can it detect the distance? Okay, so every sensor has some particular range. Okay, so the maximum range ultrasonic sensor would detect is 4 meters. That is nothing but 400 centimeters. Okay, the minimum range is 2 centimeters. Okay, so measuring angle. So measuring angle 15 degrees. So what is this 15 degrees again? Okay, so I'll show it to you guys. So when we come into this simulation part, you will get to know about this measuring angle more. Okay. So other things, this is a trigger input signal. Okay, so you need to give this at least for 10 microseconds. Okay, so echo output signal. Okay, echo output signal is nothing but the input, like the wave which comes to the ultrasonic sensor. Okay, right. So this is how you need to this is how you need to interface your ultrasonic sensor with an Arduino. Okay, so guys, first we will get into this Tinkercad simulation, and we will come back to this slide again. Okay, so guys, just open your Tinkercad. Okay, so if you haven't guys who are new to this session, and if you want to know how to create an account in this Tinkercad simulation, or how to create circuits in this Tinkercad, so just get back to our previous session, guys. Okay, so you will find that link in the YouTube channel. Okay, so just go and watch that after the session. Okay, so here to create a new circuit, so just log into your Tinkercad account and you will find circuits here. Okay, just click on create a new circuit, guys. So just click on create circuit. Okay, so here first I will take Arduino Uno board. Okay, so first I'm taking Arduino Uno board into my workspace. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, so I've got it. And next I need to take the ultrasonic sensor. Okay, so guys, when you type ultrasonic sensor, oh, 1 second. So when you type ultrasonic sensor, you will find two components here, guys. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are taking a 4-pin ultrasonic sensor. Okay, so here you have other sensor, and here you have another ultrasonic sensor. Okay, so here it has 3 pins. Okay, so in real time, we are going to see this module, that is HCSR04. Okay, so just take that sensor and drop it to your workspace. Yeah, I've got it. So here first you need to make connections to your you need to make connections with your Arduino, guys. Okay, so I told you, right? So first you need to give the power supply, then you need to connect it to ground. Then after that you need to make the trigger and echo pin. Okay, so let me connect it. So I'm just taking this VCC. Okay, so guys, make sure that you are connecting this trigger pin. So make sure that you are connecting this trigger pin to a PWM pin to digital pins. Okay, So here I'm connecting my trigger pin to the third pin. Okay. So I'll tell you. So why we need to connect it to the pulse width modulator pin? I'll tell you. Okay. Okay. So I've done with the connection, guys. So I'm just changing the color here. So just for your thing, like just for you people to understand, I've just made the color change for the wires. Okay. So this is how you need to make the connection. Okay. So then you need to write the code for this ultrasonic sensor. Okay. So how to like how we can write our code. Okay, so which manner we need to write our code. Okay, so guys, make sure that you have selected the text editor to write your code. Okay, so I'm just deleting the pre-existing code and I'm writing it. Okay, so guys, in the previous session I have told you like you can initialize, like if you want to initialize the pin with the Arduino board, so you need to define it in the pin mode, right? So guys, you have other method also to initialize your pin with Arduino, right? Like before the setup loop, you can give some variables to that pin number. Okay, so how to give that? Okay, so you can give it in this particular way. So hash define, so which means it defines that pin. Okay, so here I'm taking my echo pin. So here you could see I have connected that echo pin to digital pin 2. Okay, so echo 2. Okay, so similarly I'm just defining the trigger pin as 3, right? So I have connected these two pins, one is to 2 and one is to 3. Okay, so next I'm going to set up this. So void setup. Okay, so void setup. So here you need to attach these pins. Okay, so pin mode. So one is echo comma input. Okay, so we are getting the wave, right? So we are transmitting some pulses through trigger pin. Okay, so that is output, guys, but whereas to echo pin we are getting the input wave. Okay, so that is why I have given that. So the input and for trigger pin output. Okay, so here I'm just going to give like set up some serial communication between the serial monitor and Arduino. Okay, so this is how you need to set up, guys. Yeah, so next void loop, how my function should operate. Void loop. Okay, so in void loop you need to give it. Okay, so guys, first you need to make trigger pin low. Okay, so why we need to make the trigger pin low? Because when you're on the sensor, first your trigger like your pin, that is trigger pin must be low. Okay, so if it is high also, when your loop restarts, so suppose if you are in the middle of the code, right? So in such cases, if it is high, if your trigger pin is high in the middle of the code. Okay, so when you reset the button also, so in the first case your trigger pin must be low. Okay, so in first case your trigger pin must be low. Okay, so next uh, yeah, so next part is to give some delay. Okay, so you need to use delay microseconds, guys. Okay, so this is a new function. Okay, so this is a new function you are going to see, guys. Okay, so why we are going to use this delay microseconds? Okay, so if you are going to take a simple delay, okay, so if you are going to take a simple delay, so what is happening there is like so there you are just making use of the seconds. Okay, so here, you are going to like here in microseconds it would take the float values also. Okay, so it would calculate that microseconds exactly, but whereas in normal delay, so it would just calculate the integer values kind thing. Okay, so one second, guys. One second, one given this. Yeah, thanks for reminding that. Right. So here you need to use delay microseconds, guys. Okay. So after that you need to on this trigger pin. Okay. So first you need to on this trigger pin, make that high. Okay. So make that trigger pin high, and next you need to on that for 10 microseconds, right? So you need to on this trigger pin for 10 microseconds. Okay. We have seen it, right? So in the working, so you need to enable this pin for 10 microseconds. Okay. So this is how you need to do, guys. So after that, you need to disable it. So why to disable it? So first, we have this trigger and echo pins. So you can work on only one thing. So if you are transmitting, you could transmit. If you want to receive, you need to off this transmitter and you need to receive the echo pulse. Okay. So that is what you need to make this low. Okay. So after that you need to calculate the duration. Okay. But you need to give the data type here. So you need to give the data type here. So guys, I would recommend you, when you are making use of these variables, just try to define outside the loop. Okay. So that is why I haven't told you before itself. Okay. So our duration is in the you will get some float or in some decimal values. Okay. So that is why I'm making use of this long data type, that is duration. Long duration. And distance, I'm just going to print it in the in data type. Okay. So this is how you can define it outside the loop. Okay. So long duration and interdistance. Okay. So to calculate duration, you need to read. You need to read for how much time you have got the input. For how much time you have got the echo pulse. Okay. So for that, you need to make use of this pulse in function, guys. So this pulse in function just takes the time, like for how much time this echo yeah, the received signal has been got to this echo pin. Okay. So for that purpose, you need to give it in this way: pulse in, the pin number, and high. So why are you making this high? Is because you are enabling that. So to enable that, you need to make this. Okay. So after that, to calculate distance, we have seen one formula, right? So we have seen one formula, right? So duration, and we have given it in the like uh, 340 microseconds, right? So the same way we are going to give it now. Okay. So after that, so we have got the distance. So now our thing is to just print it. Serial dot print distance. Okay. So serial dot print, that is distance. The variable is distance. Okay. So finally, I'm going to use one thing. Serial dot println. Okay. Centimeter. So you will get your values in this centimeter range. Okay. So we'll try to run our code, guys. Okay. Let us see if there are any errors or not. Yeah. So I've started the simulation. So there are no errors in my code. Okay. So guys, your code is running. Okay. So how to check it in the serial monitor? Okay. So when you're on the serial monitor, you are getting some range, but how you are getting this range? Okay. So guys, to know that, just click on this ultrasonic sensor. Okay. Just click on this ultrasonic sensor. You will find this. Okay, so when you click on this ultrasonic sensor, you will find this ball kind of thing. Okay, so here you could see 113.4 centimeters. So somewhat accurately you are getting here. Okay, so less than or equal to this 3 centimeters, you are getting the value. Okay, so when you move this ball so to the other part, okay, so your value will vary. Okay, so you here you could see 242 centimeters. Okay, so now then we are getting somewhat accurately here, guys. Okay. less than or equal to 3 or 5 centimeters, like that, you are getting the values. Okay, so if you are moving this ball out of the range, you will not get the values. Okay, so you will get the last value only. Okay, uh, oh, 1 second, so it is getting more than that. Okay, so that is the maximum value you are getting. Okay, so what is the maximum value range guys? So that is 400 centimeters, right? Okay, so as we are in the simulation part, so you are getting that value. Okay. Yeah, it is not like totally accurate. Okay, so it is less than or 5 centimeters. Okay, so to get the accurate values, so when you are dealing with this, like when you are integrating the real-time sensor part, okay, so there you can alter the formula, guys. Okay, so there you can alter this formula, which you have written it here in the code. So if you are altering that formula, you could get the accurate values. Okay. Right. So this is how to integrate an ultrasonic sensor with Arduino, okay, and how to like to read the values in the serial monitor. Okay. So guys, we can integrate other components with this thing also. Like if your distance is less than 10 centimeters, or if the distance is less than 1 feet or 2 feet, like that. So you could make some indication, like you could enable some LED kind of thing, like that. Okay. So guys, we will see one thing. Okay. So we will see one thing here. Okay. So here we will make use of a buzzer. Okay. So here we will make use of a buzzer. Okay. So using that buzzer, we will try to enable it. Like when the distance is less than 10 centimeters, we will try to enable that buzzer. Okay. So, guys, to get your buzzer, just type buzzer in the search component. Okay, so here you will get piezo buzzer. So, what is difference between this piezo and the normal version? Okay, so the piezo buzzer, you will find it in your Bluetooth speakers, and whichever speaker you are going to use. Like if you are getting some audio from it, so you will find this piezo buzzer. Okay, so what is this piezo buzzer? Okay, so like if you are going to make use of some frequency and time, okay, so you can alter this piezo buzzer. Okay, so then what are the connections of this piezo buzzer? Okay, so similar guys, so you have two terminals for it. So one is positive and one is negative. Okay. So negative you need to connect it to ground, and positive you can connect it to some PWM pin, and based on that you can operate it. Okay. So I'll try to. Connect it to one cell pin. Okay. So this is how you need to make the connection, right? Okay. But how to operate this? Yeah, we have connected this tone, like we have connected this piezo buzzer. Like if you are connecting it to digital pin, like it will on it forever. But if you want to make some frequencies, like guys, just think about how a buzzer works, like how your speaker works. Okay, so based upon the frequency of your sound, like your sound, whatever I'm speaking, it is in the form of some frequency, right? So based upon that frequency, it is like your speaker or your speaker in your mobile phone, your speaker in your laptops or PCs, they are working, right? So similarly, so this piezo buzzer, so I'll show you guys. I'll show you. So why we are going to give it to PWM pin, I'll show it to you. Okay? So guys, code. First, we'll try to operate this. Okay. So how to enable it? Okay, void setup the similar way. Void setup. Then mode. Which pin you have connected? Okay. 11. So 11th, okay, which is output. Okay, so I'm not going to print anything here. right? Next void loop. Okay, so here you have a function, guys. So to operate this buzzer, you have a function called tone. Okay, so tone, here you need to give the pin number, and here you need to mention the frequency. Okay, that is the sound frequency. Okay, so guys, you can give any like the audio frequency. Okay, that is from 3 hertz to some 300 megahertz. So you could give that and try to check that. Okay, so here I am just making use of some 1000 frequency, guys. Okay, so beside that you could give some time delay also. So first we'll try to give this. So first we'll try to give this. Okay, and let us try to listen the sound. Okay, so guys, I'm just starting the simulation. Yeah, guys, can you hear the sound? Guys, can you hear? We are generating some sound here. Okay. Now we'll try to stop this, and we'll try to increase the frequency to 2000 hertz. Okay. So when I start simulation, so we are getting a different sound now. So now you are getting a different sound, right? So based upon the sound frequency, you can change the like you could operate your buzzer. Okay, so now I'll give this frequency for two, like the time for two. Okay, so I'll give some delay. So I'll give some delay here. I'll give some delay of 2 seconds. Okay, so guys, to enable to enable this buzzer, we have this tone function. But how to off this tone? Right, so to off this tone we have a function called no tone. Okay, simply give that pin number, and if you give some delay, you can see the difference. Okay, so we'll try to simulate it. Yeah, so first as you are giving the less delay here, like the less time here, so it is just giving the sound. Okay, so it is you are getting the sound, but it is of less time. Okay, so I'll just try to remove this. I'll just try to remove this. Yeah, now you can see. Now you can see, right? So your buzzer is enabled for 2 seconds, right? So your buzzer is enabled for 2 seconds, and it is off for 2 seconds, and again it is operating. So we have written it in the list. So that is what it is operating, right? So guys, just try to give some different frequencies and duration also. Okay, so try to change the duration also. Okay, so this is also in the milliseconds. Okay, just try to change that. Okay, just try to change that, and try to get the output, guys. Just try to check the output, so how we are getting it. Okay, so here you could see here. So I change the time here, so that is what you are getting the output. Okay, so let me get back to the code, guys, the previous code. So I'll just paste the previous code here. Okay, so you are getting distance here, so I'm just printing it. So after seeing this, so I'm just using the same variable, that is distance. Okay, so if distance is less than 10, okay, so if distance is less than 10, I'm going to enable my I'm going to on this buzzer. Okay, so before that I need to set up this, right? Then mode level comma output. Okay, so tone level comma 1000. I'm just using 1000, guys. So it would be pleasant to, like it would be pleasant to hear that. Okay, so that is what I have used 1000. Okay, else, so if it is not less than 10, then what I need to do? So then I need to off this thing, that is no tone level. Okay, so this is how you need to give, guys. Now we will start the simulation. Yeah, so you are not getting any sound here. So we'll try to change the distance. Okay, so we'll check it on serial monitor also. So your the present distance is 298, right? I'll place it below. So you could check here, right? You are getting the output. So it is 8.6 centimeters. You are getting the output. Okay. So let me change it to more than yeah. So now here you could see here. So it is more than 10, and your buzzer is off. Guys, clear with this? So guys, this is how an ultrasonic sensor works, guys. So here I have just integrated another sensor to show you like how to integrate one or two sensors with a particular audience, right? So like this, you could integrate other things also. So if you are using a particular sensor, you could integrate other sensors also, right? So in place of this this piezo buzzer, if you want to place some LEDs. Like if you want to indicate like if your distance is between 10 to and 20 centimeters, you wanted to on one LED, right? So when it is below 10 centimeters, you want to on another LED. So if it is more than 20 centimeters, if you want to on another LED, so you could make use of some if else conditions like this. You can make use of this condition statement, and you can write it. So this is how it works out. Okay, so guys, let us get into the other sensor. Okay, so we have seen this ultrasonic sensor, and now we are going to see about DHT level. Okay, so guys, this is a sensor you all need to know, guys. Okay, so first we have seen about ultrasonic sensor. Okay, so this is the DHT level. Okay, so why we need to use this DHT level? Okay, so this sensor is used to detect the temperature and humidity values of the environment. Okay, that is your surrounding. Okay, so guys, let us think about the real time situation. So if you are at your home, and if you are dealing with some agriculture type of projects or products, so their humidity and temperature plays the major role in the growth of a planet, right? So for that purpose, you need this DHT11 temperature. Okay, so this is a digital sensor. So this is a digital sensor. So here in this sensor, so inside of the sensor, you have two things, guys. Okay, so one is photoresistor, which would calculate which would depend upon the outside temperature. So based upon the outside temperature, your resistance would vary, and you would get the output. Okay, so you have here also you have four pins, guys. So for DHT sensor itself, you have four pins, but for DHT module, you have only three pins. Okay, so one is VCC, one is ground, and one is output. Okay, so here in our Tinkercad simulation, so unfortunately we don't have this DHT11 module, but we have a temperature sensor there. Okay, so guys, we will see about the temperature sensor. So how to integrate that temperature sensor. Okay. So guys, I told you, right. So inside of this DSC level sensor, you have two components here. So one is thermistor. So you could see a thermistor, and one is humidity sensing component. Okay. So this is also similar to a component like you have a conductive material here. So in the humidity sensing component, you have a conducting material. So based upon the humidity, right. So what is humidity again? So it is a water droplets kind of thing, right? So based upon that humidity, so this humidity sensing component, it would be conducted, and you would get the value in the spins. Okay, so this is a thermistor, and this is a humidity sensing component. Okay, so guys, so coming to the specifications of this DST11 sensor, so the operating voltage is from 3 to 5 volts. Okay, so operating current is 2.5 volts. So guys, I would recommend you all to know about these things. So at least know about these two things: what is operating voltage and what is operating current of that particular sensor. So it is better to know about these two things when you are integrating a particular sensor or module with a Arduino or anything, guys, any development board, if you are if you want to integrate that thing, so you must know about these things, because once if it is damaged, again you need to buy a new component, right? So that is what I'm just insisting you guys. Okay, so you can see here, so this TST sensor can detect from 20 to 80% humidity with an accuracy of plus or 5%. Okay, so the same thing, it is it would detect temperature from 0 to 50 degrees centigrade. Okay, so with plus or minus 2 degrees accuracy. Okay, so this is the sampling rate, guys. So for every 1 second, the things would be updated. Okay, so this is just about the body size. Okay, so this is about pens. Okay, so guys, to integrate this DST sensor with your Arduino, you need to do it in this one way. Okay, so you need to connect the odd pin to your digital pin. Okay, so I told you, right, so this is a digital sensor thing. So you need to connect it to this particular digital pin. Okay, so coming to the Tinkercad simulation, so actually we don't have a this kind DHT11 sensor here. So instead of that, we have a temperature sensor. So here we have a temperature sensor, that is TMP36. Okay, so this TMP36 is a temperature sensor. Okay, so this is just a thermistor kind of thing, guys. Okay, so this is just a thermistor kind of thing. Okay, so it would detect the temperature which would vary from minus 40 degrees to plus 125 degrees centigrade. Okay, so guys, if you want to know more about this particular sensor, so just get into that particular data sheet. Okay, so guys, for every component, so for each and every component, you have this particular data sheet. Okay, so if you want to know more about that particular sensor, you can just see that data sheet. Okay, so guys, I'm just going to take my Arduino and I'll try to integrate it with Arduino board. Okay, so this is my Arduino, so I will place it in my workspace. I'm done with that. One second, guys. Yeah, so next I need to take the temperature sensor. Okay, so in the search box, just type TMP36 temperature sensor. So you could see here, just place it in the workspace. Okay, so for this you have three terminals, guys. So for this you have three terminals, and it is a analog sensor. Okay, so here you don't have any modules kind of thing, so that is why so this is an analog sensor. Okay, so why it is an analog sensor? So here temperature is in the form of some, so what could I say? So here the values are varying, right? So that is why you need to connect it to a analog pin. Okay. So first we need to power this temperature sensor. Okay. I'm giving 5 volts for connecting it to ground. Right, so this is a V out, so where you would get the output. Okay, so guys, first I'll write the program. Okay, so then I'll explain you so how you are going to get the values. Okay, so first I'll write the code. So if I write some code, so you will get some idea. Okay, so here, here you will not directly get the temperature values. Okay, so for that, you need to make some things here in the code. So you have some formulas kind of stuff here. Okay, so for that purpose, you need to write some code. Okay, so here we have connected to A naught. Okay, and this is a input pin. That is where the sensor is input. Okay, so next you need to read that value. Okay, so I'm just taking int data is equals to analog read A naught. Okay, analog read A naught. Okay, So here you are getting data as volts. Okay. So if you are getting data in the volts, so you need to connect it to, like, convert into first in the form of analog values, right? So for converting it into analog values, so what you need to do, right? Uh, Once again, so guys, sorry guys, so here you will get data as, so here whatever D you are getting here, so that is in the form of analog values. Okay, so you are getting the values in the range of, okay, so you are getting the values in the range of 0 to 1023. Okay, so next you need to convert into some, like, you need to convert it to volts. Okay, so why we are going to convert into volts, I'll tell it to you. Okay, so we are going to convert into volts, and then we are going to convert it to temperature finally. Okay, so from temperature you can like convert into centigrade, but you have a direct formula for that also. But to convert, you need to get some idea, right? So how it is happening in the backend. So that is what I'm converting it to voltage in, this analog values into millivolts. Then I'm converting it to the final centigrade value. Okay. So to convert into volts, so you need to take that value, that is the analog input. Okay. So you need to multiply it with 5 volts. Okay. So you have given 5 volts, right? So here you have given 5 volt supply. Okay. So that is why you need to give that 5 volts. Okay, so here 5 volts is nothing but 500 millivolts. Okay, sorry, 5000 millivolts. Okay, so after that you need to divide it by 1024. Okay, because the values are in the range of 1024, which varies from 0 to 1023. Okay, so the total value range is from 0 to 1023. That is why you are dividing it with 1024. Okay, so now it is converted into millivolts, right? So now let us convert it into centigrade temperature. Okay, so to convert it to centigrade temperature again, so you need to use this particular formula, guys. Okay, so that is the voltage value minus 500. So why I'm using this 500, I'll tell it to you guys. Okay, so why I'm using this 500, I'll tell it to you. Okay, so I told you, right? So this value, this temperature value ranges from minus 40 to 125. Okay, so but the voltage is in the range of, so here you will get the voltage in the range of 0 to 0 to 150, sorry, 200, that thing you will get. Okay, so 0 to 250, the maximum ranges, the minimum is 0, and the maximum range is up to 200, nearly up to 200. But you need to, here in the centigrade value, you are reading the temperature value ranges from minus 40 to 125, right? So to get that value, you are dividing, you are subtracting it as 500 millivolts. Okay, so we will print all these values, guys. So we will print all these values. Serial dot print. Okay, so here first I'll give analog value. Analog value. Okay, so next serial dot print, that is a, so D is analog value. Okay, just I'm copying that, guys. Just I'm copying that. I'm pasting it, and similarly I'm pasting it. Okay, so here we are getting the voltage value, right? So here we are getting voltage value. Okay, so finally we are getting Celsius value. So that is temperature value. Okay, so just I have used that, guys. So just I have used that, and we'll try to run the output. So we'll try to run this program, and let us check that. Yeah. Oh, oh, C was, so we haven't used any variables there, guys. So that is why you are getting that error. Okay, so let me use float. So it would be better using float. Load. Right. So I'll run this. Yeah. So guys, it is running successfully. So let me click on this temperature and yeah. So when I click on this temperature, so one more second. So I haven't used serial dot begin in the void setup. Here serial dot begin 9600. Okay. So it's fine now. So once you have started the simulation, so when you click on this temperature, so that is temperature sensor, you could see this. Yeah. Get back to the code. Guys, you could see the analog value is 153 and the voltage value is 153. Oh, so this is volts and this is centigrade. Okay. Yeah. So now you are getting here. So the analog value is 153 and voltage value is 612 millivolts. Okay. So as you are giving, sorry, 0.6 volts. Okay. So you are giving the voltage in the range of 0 to 5, right? So you are getting the voltage value and your temperature is 11. Okay. So guys, why you are getting this temperature? It is given as 25 degrees, but you are getting level 0.2. Okay, so if you want to get the accurate value, so you can alter this formula, guys. So you can alter these formulas to get the accurate values. Okay, so when I keep it at minus 40, okay, so you could see though the analog value is changing, that is it has dropped to 20 and the voltage value is 0.08. Okay, so the temperature value is minus 42. Okay, so you are getting somewhat near value, right? So if you want to get the accurate value, you can just alter these formulas. Okay, so you can just alter these formulas. Okay, so when I keep it to plus 125, let us check the temperature value, what we are getting there. Okay, so the analog value has changed and the temperature value is 93.2. Okay. So guys, I told you, right? So the simple thing, like if you want to get the accurate values, so this is the best way to do. So you can just alter these formulas. Okay. So this is how this is how temperature sensor work, guys. Okay. So if you are using the like if you are going to use the DST sensor, though there is no need to use any of these formulas. You can just get the output, like you can just get the output from the sensor directly. Okay, like so here I have given 500, right? So in place of this 500, you can just alter the formula. So if so you need to verify it, like you need to cross check with the other value. So if I give 600, so let me check that. Okay, so here we are getting temperature value as 1. That means here it is not 600. So you need to make use of other value. So I'll just make use of 490. So let me check. So guys, so from the previous value, it has been dropped, right? So just try to check it, guys. So after the session, just try to check it. Okay, so just try to check it, and if you give us the response also, that would be better. Okay. So here it is still dropping. So when I'm increasing the value, it is being dropped. Okay. So for that purpose, you can simply decrease it. So let me take it as 450. So I'll check that. Yeah, now it is being increased, right? Okay, so now it is being increased. So let me keep it to 400. Yeah, so you are getting somewhat the near value. Okay, so here the temperature sensor is minus 40, right? So for that purpose, you here you need to make some changes. Okay,
So it depends upon the range. So if you want to get the accurate value, so you can make use of that range. Okay. So guys, just try to do that, guys. Okay. So after the session, just try to do that. Okay. So if you want to get the better idea of this temperature sensor, so you would get a better idea. So if you are going with the hardware part, that is the real-time temperature 36 sensor. Okay. So in real time, you need to take a multimeter. Okay, so you need to take a multimeter and you need to supply it with 5 volts. Okay, so you need to vary the temperature. So you need to place a thermometer beside that, and you need to you need to increase the temperature as well. Okay, so you need to note down the voltage values. Okay, so noting those voltage values, you can design your own formula, guys. Okay, so that would be better in real time cases. Okay. So this is about temperature sensor, guys. Okay. So next, coming to the other sensors. So this is a PIR sensor. Okay. That is passive infrared sensor. Okay. So what is the importance of this sensor, guys? When you have gone into the shopping malls or some theaters or multiplexes, any where some expensive places, so you might have seen automatic door opening, right? So how this is happening? So when you enter there, so when it detects a motion, so the door is being opened, right? So how this is happening, right? So this PIR sensor would detect that. So this PIR sensor would just detect the IR radiation. So human bodies have this IR radiation, right? So this PIR sensor would detect that, and if it has detected that it as a human, so then it would we will write some code there, and based upon that you can open the door. Okay. So why to use this PIR sensor? So this is small and it is less expensive. So it is you can get this PIR sensor at low cost, guys. Okay, so that is why we are going to make use of this PIR sensor. Okay, so PIR sensor refers to passive infrared or pyroelectric infrared sensor. Okay, so guys, we will get into the specifications. Okay, so the operating voltage of this PIR sensor is 3 volts. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are giving 3 or 3.3 volts for this PIR sensor. Okay, so you can give 5 volts also, but you will not get the accurate results from this PIR sensor. Okay, so you can see the range of the sensor is from 20 feet, right? So up to 20 feet, that is up to 6 meters. Okay, so you could see the detecting range. Yeah, I forgot to tell the range, the angle and ultrasonic sensor also. So you have one particular angle, guys. Okay, so from that angle only it would detect. Okay, so in the next slide you will get it, guys. So you will get it. Okay, so, guys, here it is just telling about the working. So, whenever it is detected, whenever it detects the as a human, that if it detects some infrared radiation, so in this range, so it would just give some high pulse. Okay, here you could see. So it would just give some high pulse. Okay, so this is a PIR sensor. So here you will have some lens. So nothing but a cap, guys. Okay, so I'll show it to you. So here you could see, right? So inside of that you will have some IR sensor inside this. Okay, so this is the lens. Okay, so which would radiate, which would spread that thing. Okay, here you could see, right? So how your sensing part is ranging. Okay, so when a human comes in this range, so here you could see the angle also, right? So here you could see the angle. So the angle is 110 70 to 110 degrees. Okay, so it would detect in that range only. Okay, so here you could see, I told you, right? So human has some IR radiation, that is nothing but heat source. Okay, so whenever human or heat source moves in this region, it would give you some the high pulse. Okay, so this is how it works out, guys. Okay, so you need to this is also a digital sensor. So here in this PIR sensor you have three pins. So one is for power supply, one is ground, and one is for taking the input. Okay. So guys, let us get into the Tinkercad, and now let us create that circuit. Okay. So here I'm going to create a new circuit, guys, again. So here I'm going to create a new circuit. Okay. So I'll just take Arduino. So just type PIR sensor, guys. So this is the PIR sensor. Just drag and drop into your workspace. Okay. So this is how you need to take these things. So guys, so I'm just giving. So this is the signal. So you will get the output at this pin. So I'm just giving it to the second digital pin. Yeah. So next we need to supply it with some power. Okay. So I'll just give 5 volts, guys. Okay. So here you can give. So the operating voltage is from 3 to 9 volts. Okay. So I'm done with that. So let me change this colors. So now we'll try to write the code. So this would be so simple, guys. So this would be so simple. Like if it detects something, so you will get the high or zero, that is high or low. Okay. So second pen, and this is the input. So the D is digital read. Serial outprint data. So guys, I'm just starting the simulation. So the same way, guys. So as these are sensors, so here we don't have any sensing part. So in simulation, just click on that sensor. So you are getting some knob, right? Okay. So just think that it is a human, right? So this is a human. So is present. Serial lot printer. Oh, here it is not two. It is data. Okay, so you are getting data as 0 because so previously there was no human, so that is what you are getting 0. Okay, so here you could see so some human as parser, so that is why you are getting the data as 1. Okay, so if you move the data, so you are going to get 1. So you could see, so these have been detected the pulse as 1, so that is human has moved in this particular PIR sensor. Okay, so that is what you are going to get that, guys. Okay, so actually it depends upon the network, like this is a simulation, right? So it is being dependent upon the network. Okay, so if you are using like if you have a better internet connectivity, so you would get the immediate results in the serial monitor. Okay, so this is how, like if a person moves there, so the lens gets heated, that is why you are getting the output as 1. Okay, so this is how it works out, guys. So this is how a PR sensor works. Okay, so in real time also, so if you want to make if you want to make a automatic door open based upon the motion, like human motion, so you can make use of this PAR sensor. Okay, so you can just make use of the if else statements, and you can design your own project, guys. Okay, so guys, this is about three sensors. So that is ultrasonic sensor, temperature sensor, and a PR sensor. Okay, so guys, we will try to come up with some more sensors. Okay, so if possible, we'll try to make some videos on those particular sensors, and we will try to come up with those things. Okay, so guys, let me give you some basic idea about actuators, guys. Okay, so what is an actuator? Okay, so till now we have seen about sensors. Okay, so but what is an actuator? So actuator is nothing but it is a component. So where electric pulse can be converted into physical quantity, right? So suppose in sensors, so where their physical quantities have been converted into electrical quantities. But whereas in actuator, if you are giving some electrical pulse there, so it will be converted into physical quantity. So what a physical quantity exactly here means, so you can move it, you can control using some mechanism there. Okay, so for that purpose, so you are making use of this actuator. Okay, so here actuator takes some signals as a it takes some signals. Okay, based upon that it will move, guys. Okay, so the best example for actuator is a motor, guys. Okay, so based upon the input you give to that motor, it will rotate. Okay, so if you want to rotate at high speed, if you want to slow it down, so you can uh, you can make that, right? So there you are controlling it by giving some signals. Okay, so guys, here I'm going to tell you, here I'm going to explain you about a servo motor, which is an actuator. Okay, so here this why this servo motor is special. Why what is the main difference between other motors and the servo motor? Okay, so guys, what is a motor? So motor is a simple electronic device, so where it would rotate, so it would rotate in some 360 degrees. Okay, so but whereas in the servo motor, so the angle of rotation is from 0 to 180 degrees. Okay, so more than that, if you're going to give 200 or 240 degrees, it would just stop at 180 degrees. Okay, so it would just stop at 180 degrees. Okay, so this servo motor has angle the operating angle is 0 to 180 degrees, guys. Okay, so why we need to go into this servo motor? So we have other motors, right? So why we need to get into the servo motors? Yeah, so the servo motor is important, ways if you want to open a door, or else if you want to design a robotic arm, or if you want to design some other robots which doesn't require the 360 degrees rotation, you can make use of the servo motor. Okay, so guys, this is how you need to connect a servo motor. Okay, so the servo motor has three pins. Okay, so one is power supply, one is ground, and one is the input signal. Okay, so guys, uh, so this is how you need to connect. Okay, guys, I'll show you the direct part. So as I think you people know how to connect it now, so by just looking at the pins, so how to connect it, I'm just getting into the tinkercad part. So I have a servo motor connection ready. Okay, so where I have written some codes, I'll just take that and I'll explain it to you guys. Okay, so let me see that. So, guys, if someone asks you, so what is difference between sensor and actuator? So you must give that answer, guys. Okay. So sensor is a electronic component where we need to where we need to where some physical components are converted into electrical pulses. But in actuators, the electrical pulses are converted into physical quantities, right? So here I have a servo motor. Okay, so you could see here. One second, guys, it is loading. Yeah, so this is how you need to connect, guys. Okay, so you need to give the power supply. Okay, so this is the power, so this is the ground, and this is the signal pin. Okay, so I have connected it to the PWM pin. So this servo motor works on some angle, right? So I told you, right? So that is what you need to connect it to PWM pin. Okay, so guys, how we need to write a code for this thing, right? So here, like you can make use of the same thing, like you can use the pen mode, and you can use that the same thing, so which are available to us, so you can use that. But here, like in this particular servo motor, as we are rotating it in the angles, so they have we have a predefined library. Okay, so that is servo.h. So you need to include that, like first you need to include that servo.library. Okay, so actually the servo s is used to define a variable, like so to use the functions which are involved in this module, so you need to import it, right? Like here, attach is used just for attaching the pin, that is in setup. So how we have used this pin mode. So just like that, to attach this pin, to integrate this with Arduino, so you need to use this attach function. Okay. So as we have connected this servo motor to third pin, we have used this servo dot attach. Okay. So one second. I think I have connected the other thing. So I'll just delete this, guys. So I'll just delete this. Okay. So here you could see the other function s dot right. So here s dot right is nothing but it is just used to rotate the servo motor. Okay. So servo dot right. Okay. So let us run this, guys. So let us run this code to start simulation. Okay. So just observe the servo motor, guys. So first it is in the inclination. Okay. So here you could see, so as the delay is too less, so that is 1 second. So you could see, so it is just hitting like that. Okay. So once I'll try to increase the delay. So once I'll try to increase the delay to 2 seconds. Okay. So similarly, I'll try to do it here also. So when I start the simulation, let me check the output. So guys, just keep an eye on this servo motor, guys. So you could see. So you could see here. So here my servo motor is going from 180 degrees. So it is going to 180 degrees, and it is coming back to 0 degrees again. Yeah. So guys, it is not pin mode 3 comma output. So I told you, right. So here you need to make for the servo motor, you have some predefined libraries. Okay. So that is servo.h. So in the servo.h, to initialize this pin, to use this pin with the Arduino, you have a function called attach. So so it is just like a pin mode function itself. Okay. So this attach function is used to just initialize this pin to Arduino. Got it, guys? Okay. So similarly, previously we have used this digital dot write. Okay. So to run this servo motor, you need to use this s dot write. That is nothing but to operate this servo motor. Okay. So here you need to give the angle. Okay. So guys, let me give 360 degrees here. So let me give 360 degrees, and let me run the program. Okay. So your program will be this will be operated, but so you could see, so it is not going to 360, it is being stopped at 180, and again it is going back to 0 degrees. Okay. So this is how it works, guys. So this servo motor operating angle is 0 to 180 degrees. Okay. So guys, just keep that in mind. So here in servo dot right, so you need to mention the angle. Okay. So guys, if you want to move the servo motor, you want to design a robotic arm, right? So your robotic arm cannot go suddenly, right? So for that purpose, you need to send it like angle by angle, right? So in the increment angle, you need to send it, right? So for that purpose, you can make use of for loop, okay, for or while loop. So you can make use of that loop, and you can increase it step by step, and you can use this servo motor. Clear with this, guys? Guys, this is for today's session. So we have seen some few sensors, and we have come to know about what are actuators, what is difference between actuators and sensors. Okay. So thank you guys. Thanks for attending. So I'm just closing the session. Okay. So thank you guys. So still, if you have any doubts, you can contact.